about notice of workshop of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Ormy. Notice was given for the Board of Commissioners of the City of Ormy to hold this workshop Friday, February 2nd, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Chambers of the Municipal Building. Number one, response to RFQ presentations by respective engineering firms. First one, AG Group LLC. Thank you. So we have your materials. I haven't turned up. Do you want me to turn it over? I think. Go ahead and start if you'd like.
Sure. So I handed out a tabletop here. So it just kind of gives a little bit of brief of our firm. On this side, you look at about us. We incorporated in 2006. I'm a civil engineer by trade. And we since expanded into surveying, geospatial, LiDAR, property management, and we also do general construction and construction inspection services. And so we've been in business for over 18 years. Right now we're somewhere between 40 and 50 employees. We're headquartered, here's a little map of some of the locations where we're currently at. We're headquartered in San Antonio. I'm originally from San Antonio. Had a little stint in Austin, so that was fun being an Aggie in Austin for about 8 years or so. And then decided to move back to San Antonio and start the firm 18 years ago. But these are some of our other locations. You can see we've expanded down Sinton to Corpus is one of our newer offices, as well as Leander. And then we're also doing some work down on the border in Middle Pass. You'll see today presenting, it's myself. I'm Ida Gonzalez. I'm the CEO of AG3 Group. And Kevin Karfman was supposed to be with me here today. He's my vice president of our geospatial division, but he got sick. So I brought Victoria Jones. She is the head of our GIS division. And so she works closely with Kevin. And so, and she's just as familiar with that division. And so, just in case there were any questions in that area and some of the work we've done for some small city, other cities and counties, Victoria can kind of give you some details on that. And then this is the team here that we proposed during the presentation on just on this side of the tabletop. Still on this same side. Martin Gonzalez, actually, when we were formerly Von Ormy City Engineers, when we all first incorporated, Marty was one of our main project engineers, and he's still with us. He's been with me 17 years. Corey's been with us for about 2 years. Dan Clark is my vice president of our surveying division. Of course, Kevin, who couldn't be here today, and then Josh, Lillian. And then finally at the end, Melba, who's been with our firm for about 9 years, she started in our marketing division. And then as we slowly started to help cities like Von Ormy with CDBG funding and so forth, we felt like that was something or service that I wanted to continue to do, because I saw that more and more with counties and cities that we were working with, that sometimes they just don't have the budget to accomplish what they need. And there's so much money out there that goes untapped that we thought we need to continue to grow that division, and we have. Our most recent win was securing $24 million for Maverick County for water and sewer. And that was through Texas Water Development Board. And then we also, the most recent one after that, and we have it on here, was securing a grant for Maverick County Water District number 1 to provide them some electrical meters for the irrigation process. So there's funds out there. You just got to go out and get it. You got to have the right team that has the knowledge and the ability to do it. And we do. So then we flip it over. Just a little bit of what we offer. Just my experience here in general, and what Von Ormy, I feel, some of the things that they still need. Obviously, again, there's Quarter Horse. We help secure the funding through CDBG grants with Bear County for that project. And, this is the heart of Von Army right here with your fire station, your city hall, your park now. I saw that new park that y'all just built, which is awesome. So, this is where we felt at that time we wanted to develop and make it a place where the community could come together. You have everything right here, and then start to expand from there. So what our thought was back then. But you can see a lot of the entities that I know, Von Army and who I was coordinating with back then, Bear County, TxDOT, Sanford Water System, here on our partial list of governmental folks that we have worked with and currently working with, those are the same stakeholders and partners that you want to continue working with. I read an article that you guys just secured $3 million with Commissioner Clay Flores, and congratulations about that. I know that was something that we were really focusing on and wanting to get for Von Army, because we knew that if we could just get that sanitary sewer down here, that things would start to explode. And so we had many meetings with, Quende at SAWS and trying to get that to happen. So to see that, I congratulate you guys for doing that. So that's going to really start getting the ball rolling for you guys. But we have those relationships too with these entities. I've been working with SAWS for about 15, 16 years. We do a lot of work with TxDOT. I know there was a time where we almost secured some funding to get a parking ride and some asphalt here. Unfortunately, and Sammy, you were here, there was just the politics, we couldn't get the politics out of the way, and so sometimes some of that funding just would go by the wayside because it couldn't wait for us anymore. And so I see that there's a new kind of way that the city's working, and it seems like maybe that's gonna be helpful for some of those things to get things pushed through if we all agree. But there's money out there, and there's still those abilities to get those types of funding, just working with the other agencies that are there, like you all have successfully done with Commissioner Clay Flores. And Commissioner Clay Flores and I have a really good relationship as well. She supported me for my bid to be on the VIA board, which I'm currently on the VIA board right now. So I'm very familiar with a lot of commissioners that are part of Bear County. And so there's also a couple of quotes down here from some of our entities that we work with. David McBeth with the City of San Antonio, Larry Shepard with TxDOT. So we take pride in whatever project we go after. We make sure that not only can we do the work, are we going to bring value to that entity, but also do we have the bandwidth. So anytime we go after a project and we look at the entity and we say, okay, do we fit with them? Can we provide you guys with value? Definitely, in this case, we can, and we know we can, just because I know y'all's history, and that I would love to have a conversation, continue the conversation with you, and see how I can come back in and help you guys continue to get that funding that we identified for those projects in the first master plan that we did for y'all. There's a lot still to do, and you guys are headed in that great direction with that wastewater fund that you just got in the grant. But there's still a lot more to do, and there's a lot more out there that we can go get together. And so when I saw this RFQ of Valerie contacted me, I thought, yes, I would love to get back down there and work with you guys to hopefully, continue to help you develop this area. I've always loved the history of it, from when I was driving around with Art Martinez, right before you all incorporated as a city. I just thought, man, this is a gold mine. This is a diamond in the rough. We could just get things going. And so I said, yeah, let me pursue this and see if we all feel that I'm a right fit for y'all as well. Even though I was here before, and then, take a step back, and then I'm hoping maybe I'm the right fit again to help you guys.
When was that?
You guys first incorporated.
Until 2018, 2019.
Yeah, even before that, we were helping Art with developing the city, through the incorporation of the city, identifying, your city boundaries. I mean, we created maps, we did all of that stuff for you
And you
guys.
did our zoning code.
We did the zoning code, which I saw, and it's still the same, I think. So, and that was many years ago. There may have been some slight changes, but it looked pretty familiar. So I think there's still some things that we need to get up to date.
We've been looking at those.
Have you guys been looking at that? And then we can bring in some new innovative platforms and technologies that we're doing for other cities right now, like developing a GIS platform. Victoria's taking the lead on that for San Francisco County, where we did it in phases too, because, you know, everybody has those funding challenges. And so when we approached the county, you know, they said, absolutely, we would love to do this, you know, have our infrastructure all in one place that's easy and user friendly. And so that generations will be able to utilize once we're all gone, they continue to build on it. So we have signs, we have roads, we have utilities, we have drainage structures,
Boundary districts.
and so we put that all in one user place where anybody can log in at any time and get the information they need. And so what that does is it helps you not only continue to organize your infrastructure, but for grants. So when the federal government sees an entity that's nice and organized and ready to go, it's almost like shovel ready, if you think about it that way. They look at those entities first, like, oh, they've got their stuff together. Yeah, they're ready to, because when they give you funding, you gotta be ready to use it. And you have a timeline with these types of grants and so forth. So, but then also, it's what every entity should be doing anyhow. The technology is there to organize and put your infrastructure into a platform where then you can also develop maintenance programs. So, you know, you go with the age of your, let's say, your culverts. You know, Fort is a little newer, but there's other storm infrastructure around here that we would go, we take a picture, we look at the type that it is, we try to find any information you have, the year it was built, and so forth. And then you can put all of that in there as well. And then you can start creating a maintenance program so that, again, when funding allows, you create a priority list. You say, okay, I'm gonna do these first, do these next, and so forth. And so we take a picture, and since we're surveyors, it's also accordingly correct. So, you know, when you go into your GIS platform, that's where it's located in the world. So that's the other part that we can provide, and that's what makes our GIS platform a little bit more savvy than, let's say, other GIS platforms I see developed by, let's say, engineers that don't have surveyors. So we have that capability.
So you had mentioned something about everything being, you're talking about software, everything being one place and organized where anybody can access it. Is that something internal to y'all, or is that something that the city would have access to?
It's, go ahead.
You guys would have access, so on our end, we're hosting the product, which is what we're currently doing with San Francisco County, and they have a link on their website, because we're working specifically with one commissioner to build out her precinct, and then the other commissioners are considering adding on to it. So for her, it's listed on her page for her precinct, and it's the website, the URL is open to anyone in the public at all if they want to look at it, and I can share the URL with you if you would like to as well. I mean, it's super easy to play with as well. It's not a difficult thing to look at, and it's very easily labeled by everything. And as she was saying, like, you know, we have a maintenance program with them. The other cool thing too is because they don't have that former information, so when we do update it, that's a field that's super easy to add. So it's really dynamic. If you have different layers you want to add to it or different attributes you want to add to it, it's super simple to put into it.
So what's that called? GIS?
Geographic Information Systems.
What? Yeah, but what's the full term of the software that we're referring to? I know it's the GIS.
Esri. Yeah.
Oh, Esri.
Yeah, which is pretty, I mean, everybody uses Esri. With them, they're at a place right now too where they just hired a GIS, young GIS technician, I'll call him. So their goal is to eventually build a GIS division. So we're there until they're ready and they say, we're ready to take this over, and then we just hand it to them. So we're just there until they continue to need us. We update it on a monthly basis, so as they have new projects come through, then we'll go send our surveyors out, we'll get the information, and then we'll update it. So it's a living and breathing platform, and that's the thing that everybody needs to understand is when you start this, you have to continue to update it. So even let's say you build a GIS division here, and then you take it over, and then maybe you lose some people, you need us to come back in, then we can't, you know, so it can just go back and forth, or, you know, whatever, but you have to keep going. And that's what's gonna make you successful with this type of platform. But that's just, one part of our division, so. Again, we're also civil engineers, where we do roadway design, highway design, drainage, traffic analysis, pretty much the whole gamut of general civil engineering. And then that ties in nicely with our surveying department, where we do conventional surveying, where we do a lot of LiDAR. So, which is just as cost effective as your conventional survey now. LiDAR and utilizing drones and things like that, you can get more information quicker, and then it can be processed just as quick. Before it was a little bit slower in processing, now computers have caught up, so it costs the same to do LiDAR as it has to do surveys, so we do that as well. And then we have a small little construction division to our firm as well. We've got about $5 million bonding capabilities, so we can do small projects up to there. So we're a pretty well-rounded turnkey company. We can do a little bit of everything. And that was my goal as I continued throughout the years, is to create a company where almost like a one-stop shop. But we don't take on things that are out of our capacity. There's still certain services where I'll bring a partner in. So there's a project that comes up with the city, and I don't have the capability to do that. I will bring you somebody who has the capability, and then, or one or two people, and then the city could visit with them and say, okay, who do we want to work with? So I work with a lot of different partners working on it in that way, not only with that, but also with any coordination that you guys need with any other stakeholders. Like I said, Scott, SAWS, I know Rebecca pretty well, and she's the also commissioner here at Bear County. We were even dealing with Escosa back in the day, so I'm familiar with all of those stakeholders.
I did have another question on this. I think it's page 1, where you're talking about percentage of time commitments.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that'd be important to us is being able to make progress with projects, to get frequent updates and clear line of communication. I know that's something we struggled with previously. And so this time commitment, I think, would be important for that. But I don't understand, though, is some of these, so like it's each person, right? Some of these add up to more than 100%. So how should I be reading this to understand it? If it's not a percentage of 100.
There's some times where somebody's working 40% that week, and then it goes back down to like 20% the next week, and 10%, so it fluctuates. It could be on at 40%, and once we submit like our 60% design, they're 0% at that time. So these are fluctuations of the projects that they're currently working on. So it doesn't mean that they're working on these projects that amount of time. It's over a time period of the project. So we just try to do a best guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why.
Just looking at this, you look very available.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So as far as project manager, I mean, here today, Kevin was sick, and I was able to pull, another very well capable person that works in that division to come in and is just as knowledgeable. So we have a team that we can supplement if we ever need to. We're also, it took us 20 minutes to get here. We're not far from you guys. This is over off of 410 in Fredericksburg. So we're not far from y'all either. And I remember those days where I would have same day meetings with you guys. So I was able to get here for a special meeting at night, but anyhow, yeah, great question. Thank you for asking that, so I could explain that.
Do you ever be concerned about any conflicts between COSA or SAWS or anything like that, since these are entities that sometimes we're working with as well, and sometimes we need to work with them? Could there ever be a concern of any kind of conflicts with clients?
Oh, no. I can give you an example like with SAWS. We do a lot with SAWS. And that is when Mayor Martinez at the time was, I think it was for sanitary sewer, was trying to take back over the CCN that SAWS had. And I think change it to Atascosa, if I recall. It's been a while. And so there was a little bit of that tension, but I think because of my relationship with SAWS and with the city, I was still able to bring everybody to the table to focus more on the sanitary, it was the water, to focus more on the sanitary sewer side and the water, so that we can bring it together, so. It was contentious, but I was still able to bring everybody into the room because of my relationships with those, so if that's what you're asking, no. Yeah, and we have to just, just with projects we do for the city of San Antonio in general, I have to navigate those waters with SAWS and the city of San Antonio, slave CPS, when I'm getting responses from CPS, so, that's just a part of it, but no.
Any questions? Jacob, you look like you had a question.
No. Our firm's worked with IDA on a number of things, like we represent Maverick County Water District, we used to represent Maverick County, so our firm knows you very well, and I think we can continue to work well together.
Other questions?
No, and I'm familiar with the city. I think you mentioned right around with art more. That was way back at 9 or 10.
That was back when you still had a chicken fighting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right. And then we had all the pond with the retention pond, which I was always against the retention pond, but it didn't work out.
Yeah,
But we did work on
yeah, absolutely.
So were you involved in the original master plan?
She did the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could do it for master plan, yeah, and we broke it up, again, we understand the challenges of the budgets and things like that, and, so we broke it up in a way where we try to prioritize. We involved the community, and so I think that was very helpful, everybody was excited about it, moved forward, but there was just, some challenges with the city council at the time, so we just couldn't get some things done, so.
If you guys want, I can show you the GIS for St. Pat if you have any questions on what that would look like.
You wanna see it?
It's easy. Well, do you need internet for it?
I can hotspot.
And one last question,
Yeah.
I'm curious, so what happened in 2018, so you mentioned you taking a step back from the city at that time? Just curious what.
I guess at some point I just felt like we until the governmental side of the city could start working together, it was just, we kept hitting brick walls, and so,
So it was related to like 2017.
yeah, we just couldn't get anything done, and so, we had to move on. I had to start focusing my time with other clients, that I could bring in revenue and
Right.
stuff like that, you know what I mean? So it was just a business decision, unfortunately, so,
Got it.
yeah.
Thank you.
But I feel too, with our capabilities to bring in grants, and we've definitely improved over the years, that I think that's somewhere we'll be able to do guys out. And Sammy's still here, and I love it.
Do y'all have environmental capabilities?
Anyway,
So I know you mentioned the survey, do y'all have in-house environmental?
we do environmental up to a certain point, so, y'all don't have to worry about it was offer and things like that, but I can't remember what the offer is on here. But we've done stuff for TCQ as far as like WPAPs and SCSs, things like that. But no, that would be probably somewhere where I would probably bring in a partner to do like an EA or things like that.
I have this pulled up, so it works easiest so you guys can all see it.
Maybe put it down the corner,
Okay.
There you go.
put it this way.
So I'm tall, I'm just gonna sit.
So it's-
You want to share?
Oh, no, I won't be able to see over my head. Okay, all right, so this is what we have for them.
This is the link on the website, click the link and finish it here.
So I pulled up ours, let me pull up theirs real quick. So you just go to San Patricia County, I believe it's under, I don't remember because they did just update their website. County officials, Commissioners Court. County Commissioners, okay, so this is their website. Sonia Lopez is who we're working with. And if you click and you go down, GIS information. So I'll show you what it is.
Tilt it a little, turn it a little sleek.
I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so this is what it looks like as a user, which is very similar to how it looks like as the end developer. So you still get the legend, and you can actually adjust things. The cool thing about this is it doesn't look super busy. The legend will adjust as you zoom in because you're getting more densified information. So one of her specific asks was within her precinct to know who was in charge of maintaining what roads. So all of these roads are different colors. She wanted hers more obvious. So hers are gold, hers are thicker, and they're just a different color. And then each color represents a different organization that's maintaining the road. So she has 2 agreements with 2 different precincts, Precinct 4 and Precinct 2. They take care of the road. So the reason why she did this was she allowed those precincts to get more funding for their projects. So she's sharing some of her roads with them, so that way they can get more funding for their precincts. So these are labeled that way. Actually, let me zoom in, because I think usually this will be super beneficial for you guys. So obviously it gets like super busy. I'll focus on TAP right here. So the utilities are all labeled by the different structures that they are. And if you click on one of them, so the triangles are the roads. One of their big asks additionally was to have pictures of the roads at half-mile increments. So that way when she goes to ask for funding, she knows that half-mile increments.
Oh, that's cool.
So it opens up, so there's a power pole, but I'm clicking the wrong one, that's why. I'm so
Should
sorry.
we say maybe like drainage or?
Same thing for drainage. So this is a dirt road, but it's a county road. So she knows later on she wants this to be turned into a road, and this is in the north direction. We also have the south direction. So she knows.
That drainage structure?
Not yet. But this has enough information to where she could say, well, I want this dirt road to be turned into, Caliche Road, because they don't use asphalt, that we use Caliche. She has an estimate of the distance of the road she's gonna ask for funding for. And then I'm gonna zoom into this one intersection, because I know we have a lot more drainage right there. Sorry, I got it from my mouse. So I'm gonna click on the blue dots. That's a storm sewer. So it has a storm sewer. The other thing about it too is in the attribute table, it has the type it is, the comments, it's a 3 foot by 3.5 to 8 foot box, so it's a full culvert. And then it has a maintenance tier assigned to it. So as part of the agreement with them is I sat down with the commissioner and some of her, on the ground people who maintain this stuff, and we went through a tiering system of how they wanted things, assigned. So tier 1 means it needs immediate repair. And the other cool thing is I can go into content, and if they specifically want to look at features that need immediate work, I can go to type, and then I can look up, so storm sewers, and then I can add an expression, maintenance tier 1. So now this will only show them the ones that absolutely need immediate repair. So you can immediately, it's crushed and it's filled and it's silted. So this provides them the information for what needs immediate fixing, what needs to be fixed a year down the line. So we can provide all of that for them.
Very cool. I like that a lot.
So,
How much time did it take to build out?
2 years so far is how long we've been working on it.
Yeah, and I think it was about a year and a half, but then they have us on a monthly kind of maintenance, so then it goes in for some new projects come in, or new drivers put in, they'll be like, okay, go out and get it. So I think they put aside, I can't remember, a certain amount of money. We don't use it all, right? We only use it if we need it. So,
Yeah. So like right now, she's asked for, there's a new dam, a drainage structure that's gonna be built along to the areas that she maintains, to the cities. And her constituents are asking her, like, is this gonna be in my backyard? And for some people, it's 5 feet away. So we're gonna add that to the JS once I finish fixing the shape files and getting them in here, so that way when she goes to the next public meeting, she's like, here's the map, it's gonna show you how close it is to your property.
So when we first started this quarter, she only had a certain amount of funding because it was in the middle of the year. And so we put it into phases. We said, well, let's just get started. So let's build that first phase. And we took it to Commissioner's Court, showed them what it was looking like. And she, for the next year, instead of just doing the next 3 phases, we had 4 phases, she went ahead and funded the next 3 because they saw the benefit of it right away. And she was like, we need this, yeah. So the other thing with them, why it's so beneficial is they get a lot of flooding. And so when FEMA comes, like I was telling you earlier, and they say, okay, what infrastructure's damaged, yada, yada, yada. They can just pull this up and say, see, we had a sign here, it's no longer here. See, this culvert when we shot it in 2023 was fine, now it's crushed. And so they're gonna get right at the top of the FEMA list, and they're gonna get the first round of funding because they're so organized. So that was the other reason she wanted to go ahead and rush the rest of it. She was like, we're gonna get that other flood that's gonna come in, and instead of being like, well, I swear there used to be, a traffic signal here that was working, and they're like, okay, well, give us some proof, now she's got it. So it's helpful for her in that way.
Very good. That's all the time we have for now.
All right,
Really appreciate y'all coming and all the information you shared with us.
Thank you, appreciate the opportunity. Absolutely. And I'll give you guys my card. Okay. Yes. Mayor, thank you so much.
So I have seen you again. Okay.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you.
That's fine.
In case you guys have any questions or want me to send you the URL, here's my card.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
You guys understand, has previously designed blank type of project?
Yeah, how many different types of products? She's got it, there's a ton in there.
Howdy, how are y'all? Very good.
Morning. Are we in the right place?
I think so.
All right.
This is it. We got
All records. Who's that? Brandon here. Valerie, no,
Kissing on the.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for information. Yes, sir. Nice to meet you. Very good. We got went to the police department. How are you? Doing good. I'm Brad. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. We move on to B, Reckwitz Engineering and Surveying. Did I say that right?
You did.
All right, great. Well, is there anything you'd like to start off with?
My name is Walt Rakowitz, and this is Brad Gator. We're with Rakowitz. We're located down in Pleasanton. Founded in 2006. How many years is that now? 18 years. We've been kind of, historically smaller. Our split focus. We kind of fell into development. We've done a lot there. Stayed in the outer fringe of San Antonio. Atascosa County, Wilson County became some of our, stronger areas at first. Fall into a little bit of our county work, but, our heart and passion has always been the smaller outlier area. From a, you know, mixture of private development, you know, on some to city work. Got in the city of Poteet years ago, back when they were making the news every week for the water. And worked with them for a lot of years, so pretty much with the environment. Just really got to know how that, you know, kind of how small town stuff work. Today we're up to like 16 people. Have always grown slowly, making sure, you know, kind of keeping our culture, and that's kind of who we are there. So, guess we came here today just kind of visit, and really exactly know what kind of presentation you wanted. But I don't think you wanted guys in suits and a PowerPoint. So, if so, we missed.
We can be that too, but that's not us. So I guess this statement of qualifications was submitted back in August. It looks like for maybe something different than now. It looks like you guys are looking for kind of just an on-call city engineer to address things as you need. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah, so
at the time, it was focused on one specific project, kind of going through that, we realized, hey, we need a great range.
great. This submittal we sent y'all was more focused on a specific type of CDBG grant project, which typically when we run across a lot of the city stuff is more what you see, right? But obviously, so this was an example of all the grant type stuff we've done. But also we've done just small projects for cities, large projects, whatever it takes. We are Atascosa County's engineer, so we're kind of there on call to do it all, whatever you need type of engineering stuff. We review, if they've got plats and stuff that come in, we review that. Whenever they have grants that go out, we review those types of things. And then if we actually have a project in Atascosa County we submit, and they have another engineer that reviews, you know, so there's no conflict of interest there. So we've done that. We've done a lot of work for City of Jordanton in the past, the City of Poteet, City of Runge. We're also, I don't know if you'd call us officially the City of Runge's engineer, but they've been using us for things they need. You know, we've got a current grant going on right now where they're putting in new works through a couple of blocks in the city. So we were able to preliminary design that, work with the grant administrator, submit that to the state. It takes about a year for approval. You get the green light to design it, and they're going into construction this week actually. So we've got that.
In that case, did y'all also apply for the grant to begin with?
We did not. We worked alongside with Langford Community Management. Have you heard of them? So they're based out of Leander up in the Austin area, and their sole business is helping small cities apply for grants.
What are they called?
Langford Community Management.
Do you guys use grant works normally, or are you all?
He's the one that helps us with our recent bid.
We have several grants that we usually do them in-house.
Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. So they kind of cater to smaller rural community type grant work. So they actually did the submittal side of that. We gave them all the engineering documentation, cost estimates, and things that need to go into that. If, for example, we're working with Atascosa County and Gonzales County right now on they call it a mid-mod. It's funded by the General Land Office, and it's all related back to disaster relief from Harvey even. But we're working with them right now to upgrade their water system. And then in Atascosa County, we're working on, there's a subdivision that has 100 lots with one crossing of the Atascosa River that is way undersized. So we're working with that grant. That was like, I'm gonna say that was 1.25 million to the county, and we're upgrading that river crossing so we can get people in and out through more storm events and stuff like that. So
Did y'all apply for the grant?
we Langford. Yes, but so the first phase stuff is we preliminarily design it, we put a cost estimate together, we create maps, and all things like that. And then this one actually has some right of way acquisition because they need a bigger crossing, so we're working with the county attorney to get land from the neighbors as well. So,
On those grants like that, normally the way it works is, you know, from like, we have to for lack of better words, giving them some free work. Because as part of the application, they need some cost estimates, they're gonna need maps. Some of that stuff that goes with the application process. So we're working with, a grant writer somewhere with that. That bridge crossing he's talking about there it's a good example of these community, working in small communities and stuff, because sometimes you build all you can for what you got.
So yeah, that kind of leads to my next question. Do y'all have you worked on projects that have clear budgetary constraints? So you gotta get a little-
Yeah, because like let's say a private developer was coming in and doing something. Well, they have design constraints. You're gonna design to a 100-year storm for this crossing. That's crossing the Ascosa River. It's not much of a river there, but so a private side has design constraints and built to this flow and this size road like that. From a public side, we have budgetary constraints, and we have. It's nice not to have a quote design constraint because we get to. We make the rules, so we get to decide which ones we want. But it's building all you can. It's what is the best bang for the buck. And like in that bridge example, we're not going to get to 100-year crossing, but it's going to be 10 times better than what you do right now. Right now, a 2-inch rain and they don't go to school. Unless it's come in, or ambulance can't come in. Type of deal. So we, just taking that side and going, what can we do? How much better can we get it? I can, the applying the creativity side. I can remember one time when the city of Poteet had a deal where their system was bad and their whole system tied together with the 2 water towers and if they the pressure switch for the pumps was on, we'll call it water tower 1, which is the strawberry tower, but when they ran that, the pipe between would make the other one overflow. So they had to lower the pressure switch so much to make it work on that. And so which by cutting it down, cut water pressure through the whole city. It was a few PSI, it didn't matter. And when we were together, let's move the switch over to this one. Kind of made a redneck SCADA system where it would go up and then it would rebalance, and he got PSI pounds for the whole city. And it was just getting creative type of like that. Yeah.
What about project timing, completion on schedule? Are y'all more fluid, or you can talk through some timing experiences?
Well, with 16 people, that gives us the ability to grab some folks to help if we need to, right? We've got 4 PEs right now, and then we've got some young engineers underneath them as well, CAD designer and stuff like that. So we are able to kind of pull guys as we need to ramp up on one project if we need to do that. We pride ourselves, and we really do, in good communication and staying on task. If there is a situation that's going to cause time and constraints, we like to get ahead of that and let folks know up front. And that's part of just good service and letting your client know what's going on. So we do aim to get things done on time. I've got 2 engineers that work for me that you give them a time frame, they're going to meet it. That's kind of how they're geared, right? You don't give them a time frame, they're kind of floundering around doing work. So I need it by this date, we'll get it done.
Even if you don't, but want to know what.
Yeah.
Give me a date. I'm like, next month's fine. No, I need a date. Okay, fine. Thursday. Okay.
I'm not going to tell you it doesn't happen, right? I mean, sometimes, but a lot of the times it's outside driven, right? And we'll find ourselves as an owner, as a client. Sometimes the owner's got to make a decision that slows things down, and a lot of times we'll say, "I need this answer. If not, we're going to lose time," right? And that usually kicks them in the gear. And so,
the other cool thing about working with kind of grant administrators, they're great keepers of the schedule. They are great, in order to make this funding cycle, we're going to need by this time. And we're always great, we tell them, hey, feel free to call and yell at us, if you don't have it, you make sure. But we also had one day, they screwed up and like, oh God, this is due tomorrow. I didn't tell you, it was all her fault. And she was in mine and y'all got it to her.
You got it done.
Yeah, good.
Help her out so she can help us later, right?
Well, I tell like lots of clients sometimes, like don't lie to me. If you're in a bind and you have to have it by tomorrow, I'll always have it done. But if you don't really need it tomorrow, don't tell me you need it tomorrow just to try to push me along. Let me work with you and what the big picture is. And it's gonna become a relationship. If I'm just as one of those service cog, I can't work there as well as if I'm part of a team. And I know your whys. I know, and what the big picture is, and I can work so much better with you on that.
Something else I think that I want to touch on too, that we talked about the company, the size and all that, but we are also full service surveying as well. So we have a full survey department in-house.
What about environmental?
We do not. We do environmental, some of the environmental stuff we can do, but when it gets into environmental delineations and phase one site assessments and things like that, we've worked with quite a few folks that we would team up and reach out to on that.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have a full house survey, which kind of helps on timelines. We don't have to call a survey firm to come in to do our work. They're right across the office. We go talk to them and get it done. So I think
That's a great point.
Walt has his RPLS. He's a PE and a registered surveyor. You got that? How many years ago?
10 or so.
So yeah, we can. I mean, and it can be any land title survey, boundary surveys, all the way to engineering support, topos, things like that. So that helps us expedite sometimes on the time frame.
What about like project management, construction project management?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a big part of what we do is, so we design a project. A lot of times as the owner's rep, we'll see it through construction, right? We want to make sure what we design gets built. But there are quite a few projects where we were just the owner's representative, kind of a third party engineering / inspection process. So the city of Charlotte ISD, you know where Charlotte is down in Escalante County, right? They had a design build project for a new cafeteria and middle school. So the contractor designed it and built it on their own, but under the rules of the state, they said, you've got to have a third party, project management team to make sure they're doing things correctly. So we were on board with that. We've done some USDA type projects where, you got USDA funding and they needed basically a project representative through the construction side of the project. So for the Atascosa Health Center, they built 2 or 3 new centers where we were the design engineer, the civil engineer, but we also were project representative through the construction side of things. So,
Is that frequent? Is that frequent that they are
Yes, sir.
involved in that?
It is. Yeah. I mean, when we do typical proposals, if it's a city project or even a developer project, we give you most of the time I include surveying, civil engineering design, and construction phase services. And a lot of the time we'll go through, see it to the end.
I mean, it's like the term on the USDA side is, it's the owner's rep. And we may not necessarily be there to always, inspect the construction, as a San Antonio City inspector would be. I may not be inspecting that. I'm looking out for your interest. And as you as the owner, and I can bring things back to you because they may want to do a shortcut to save money, may avoid a change order. And while that's not exactly meeting the plan, it might be a good thing for you, right? You might would have avoided a change order or something there. So in that role, we're representing the owner. Can bring it back to you, you can make decisions as well as whether how you want to proceed.
If you were to give it a percentage, I'd be curious, what's the percentage between private and public services that we do, that y'all do?
I would say 2/3 public. No, 2/3 private, 1/3 public. It fluctuates. We are making a shift to do a little more public with cities and counties, right? Because we try to stay pretty diversified as a company, right? You never know what the economy's gonna do, so we don't put all our eggs in the private basket. We want some public work. And we do a lot of and then it kind of, we do a lot of schoolwork too. With the civils on a lot of K through 12 projects. We're building a new school or renovations to a school. So I kind of gear, that might be more public too. So maybe those numbers are a little closer to 50-50. So, I mean, one thing I kind of wanted to say is, you know, on the construction side of things and project management, we kind of sit in an office all day. So we kind of do like to go out and look at projects. Yeah, it's like, hey, I gotta go check this one out and get out of here. Yeah, for sure.
Y'all have any questions?
So maybe for you guys, do y'all have a vision of what you need? Like, how can we help you moving forward? If we become your engineer, what kind of things does the city need? What would we be looking at?
We just need like general engineering services, so if we need to have a road evaluated or priced out of what it would cost to maintain a road or drainage, that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Water line improvements possibly?
Yeah, like everything, pretty much, everything the city could possibly do, we need engineering support for. We don't have.
Development plans.
We think we're gonna get, more pickup in those kind of activities.
Thank you, Art, too.
And we wanna be, aggressive with how, I shouldn't say aggressive, right? We're proactive, pushing those opportunities along, so that we're business friendly and they wanna continue to come back to our city.
Well, you're so close, I mean,
And we have sewer coming, so we're in the process of getting.
That was one of the next questions, like sewer.
So we've been working with South Texas engineers primarily on that project for some time.
Yeah.
We're in the planning acquisition design phase.
are you, in your system?
That would be sauce.
But they're extending it to very close to you guys.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's on the other side of the river, we're extending it to us.
Great, but it would go in the sauce.
It'd be
Sauce
sauce.
operates.
Sauce maintained.
Great, okay. Well, that's similar to, Somerset is a little bit, Somerset actually has waterfront sauce, right? So it's kind of the same. It'd be the same thing, your sewer would go their system. So you get sewer here, that really opens up possibilities.
That's what we're thinking. And then there's the question of water capacity, another.
Yeah, water, yes.
You run your own water plant?
No, we don't. So we're at coastal water and saws. We're actually split on the CCNs.
Okay.
So there is water. It's just capacity getting in certain places along our 35 corridor.
Okay.
We need more water pressure.
For industrial, commercial.
Sure, like, so that's goes to rule on 1 and then solve on 1.
Yeah, that street pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I noticed the fire hydrant stuff all the way in here, so.
Like recently, like Cumberland's an example, they were buying all the water from Saws, they were their own, and they've recently gone in and put in all the wells and,
Are they still 50-50 solid in their own?
I think with all that new tower stuff, I think they
They're
were.
shifting.
I know they were trying to get away from solids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know today what they are. I know they're working to get 100%.
They're trying to get 100% away from solids.
Yeah, they wanted to wait for that.
Well, they're paying too much for water.
Yeah.
So.
And then, y'all see grants, I mean, how often are y'all applying for like CDBGs and stuff like that?
We have the yearly apply for the CDBG. It's coming up actually.
Have you been successful in getting those, or good? What kind of examples of projects were you doing?
So the street here, Portal Course, the park, the CDBG.
Okay, I saw the part.
Yeah, our master planning with the CDBG grant.
Okay. Good.
Most of our streets were CDBG.
So, I can't remember the name, what's the road, Toyota's to the right, you can turn left there, and you can come back Somerset Road, kind of development and everything in there, and Cashville's getting swallowed right now, and everything. Lyle's getting swallowed.
Well, just,
Y'all are right in the middle.
it's coming.
So,
Well, and then we do a lot of stuff out east from the Seguin all the way back into Forestville area. That's growing, and so it only leaves the southwest side of Bear County to be developed. Right.
Right, yeah, it's all, and like I said, that's, our niche has been that lower horseshoe of Bear County, now, from we'll do some, quote, Bear County work, so to speak. Not always fun, because Bear County's big, you know, they have hot elephant, but, you know, like Medina, Frio, Atascosa, Wilson, Guadalupe counties right there, that's been our niche. Which adds a level of difficulty, because then every town has a different set of rules, where you could just work with guys that just know San Antonio rules. But, I don't know, it's a lot more fun in relationships, and so.
Well, you don't work on the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Put some change into the day, and one project here, you just get a variety, and it keeps things interesting. I don't know if it matters to you guys or not, but we are fully, woman-owned, hub and small business enterprise certified, so, yeah. So, from a grant standpoint, and from ruling points, this submittal actually might have even misspoke, but it said we had applied for our woman-owned stuff, but that was an old paragraph. We've been woman-owned for quite a few years, historically underutilized business and small business, so we have all those certifications, so that does sometimes factor in on the grant side of things.
Well, I don't have anything else unless y'all do.
I don't.
Appreciate y'all coming.
Yeah.
Y'all have anything else or any other questions?
No, not necessarily. Just keep us in the loop if things progress, and we'd be happy to work with you guys.
Yeah.
Something new, something different for us, and not take about 30 minutes to get here from Pleasanton, so it's not at all.
And like I say, one reason I don't have any questions, because you're not unique. You're lots of towns in the same boat as y'all, find the same balance and budget constraints and what you can do, and growth coming fast, and try not to get run over, and try to be purposeful. So definitely know what you're facing.
Very good.
So,
Great, well, thank y'all.
all right, okay.
I'll leave I've got some cards, I think, just in case.
Thank you for coming.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you. Thank you much. Good to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
What class are you? 13.
13. Our reviews get re-signed. Re-signed.
Yeah.
Hey, we're so quiet over here, it's okay. Take care.
Hey, you too. Thank y'all for having us. Thank y'all very much.
A fee schedule part of the RFQ. Okay.
It's not supposed to be.
Probably prevent it, so y'all know what they're going to charge. I imagine he's going to be there to be a lot less than EG3. But you never know.
Has previously designed one-time projects. Says refer to the types.
How many different kinds of projects have they designed? The wide range of projects. Like drainage, road construction, sewer, water.
Yeah, they've all kind of hit on to all of that.
How are y'all? Good morning. Come on in. Shine my pen.
Mark Miller, Westwood.
JW Walsh, what's happening?
Casey Miller. Casey, JW. Nice to meet you, sir. Casey Miller, JW.
Mark Miller, nice to meet you. You're
Sorry, that is. Great. JW. Nice to meet you, sir.
Mark Miller. Nice to meet you.
Great, you go ahead and get started with the intro.
Yeah.
We've got our city attorney.
Okay. Wait for him or go ahead?
You go.
Go ahead, okay. I'm Mark Miller, Westwood Professional Services. We're located in San Antonio. I serve as the local leader for the public infrastructure division of our company.
I'm JW Walsh, Water Resources, so I'm doing drainage infrastructure and flood studies and drainage improvements, as well as different types of like flood funding for getting grant money for improvements like drainage improvements.
So I guess I noticed you flipped to the org chart. We've had some changes. Alan Stanton, who I guess started this process, he's December 31st. He started his own firm focusing purely on drainage infrastructure around San Antonio. So he's got a one-man shop. So we were on the org chart, just new faces on there.
This is Jacob, these are the city attorney.
Hi,
JW.
Jacob.
Mark Miller. Nice to meet you. So the rest of the org chart pretty much the same. It's just he left at the end of the year, so that's the one change you see there. But yeah, if we just introduce our firm, Westwood. We've been in business for over 50 years. Locally here for about 20 of those years. Our headquarters is actually up in the DFW Plano area. So we have offices across the state: San Antonio, Houston, Austin, and then 4 or 5 up in the DFW area, including our headquarters. Really, locally, we focus on, I mentioned public infrastructure. That's kind of where JW and I are. Our sole purpose is to help cities, counties, even at the state level, work through issues in the cities and counties, whether it's as city engineering or county engineering. We serve currently as county engineer for Medina County. We're doing a lot of work there. And also on the design side, we help out all across the state for municipalities, small, medium, and large size, like roadway projects, drainage projects, utilities. We work with all of the local utility providers, SAWS, Sarah, even out in Medina, we get Nancy and things like that. So we've got plenty of experience working with municipalities and agencies across the state. Another thing I wanted to mention, we do a lot of work in Medina County as a county engineer, and that starts, from the very infancy, helping the county and the commissioners talk to developers as they come in, and plan review, plat review, and in that process, one thing the county's really been stressing here as of recently is different types of developments and tax rates and things like that. So PIDs and PUDs are big out there. TERS, all those tax reinvestment zones are really a big thing out there in Medina County right now. And I know it's starting to become more and more popular across the state. We've been able to work with our ordinances to develop some of these different type of ways to bring these developers in and collect some of that tax revenue in different forms than the traditional way of just, citywide taxes and things like that. So developers have been pretty receptive to it, so it's been working out pretty well. Another thing that we've really been successful with out there is instead of the county owning any of these development roads that are outside the city, they, in their development agreements and in their PIDs, turning everything over to the HOA ultimately. So the county will help build some of these roads, but they don't have any maintenance of these roads once they're built, or infrastructure, water, sewer, all those things are turned back over to the HOA, and so that's been successful too. I think it took a little bit of time for the developers to realize what they were agreeing to, right? But we've been pretty successful with that. It's been working out pretty well. Some other cities, City of Justin, City of New Fairview, City of Bartonville, those are all relatively similar size in population to Mount Ormy, so we're city engineer for those cities as well, working through the same type of issues there. So, if you want to talk about kind of how we can fit in here, it's very similar to how I kind of mapped out Medina County, starting with the starting development, plan and plat reviews. We can easily, help review that. That's kind of the easiest thing to do, right? Is just make sure that what's coming into the city is per a standard, and even help developing some of those city standards and city ordinances is kind of what we try to start with doing. After that, you need a lot of cities that are growing and trying to grow, looking at planning documents, looking at future land use maps, thoroughfare plans that connect these future land uses, utility plans, master drainage plans. You can talk about master drainage plans, stuff in over there right now.
I'm doing a Medina County master drainage plan, so we're taking a holistic look at the whole county and trying to identify problem areas in the county for like drainage, like flooding issues, and we're putting that into a big GIS data repository so that in the future when we do start working on these projects, once we secure funding for them, that we have all that data already prepared and we're ready to just knock these projects out. So and one of the things that we're specializing in is the FEMA FMA grant funding. So that's 90% federal funding for some of these drainage projects, assuming it has a benefit cost ratio of like greater than 1. And so that's a great way for us to get funding in Von Ormy, with Live Oaks Flu and Post Oak. You got these rivers through here. I'm not sure how much urban like localized flooding we're having with some of the residents, but yeah, I looked at the FEMA maps. It's bad. So like all those guys are in the floodplain.
So do y'all y'all apply for the grants?
Yep.
And
We apply for the grants and manage it. We develop the projects and do all the modeling and engineering behind it, and then try to secure that 90% federal funding for you guys. And then so there's usually a 10% local match that's part of that. But part of the funding is that you guys can get kickback about 5% of the total project costs for project implementation and administration. So for you guys to oversee the project and get it implemented, y'all get some back for that.
So 10% match, then 5% rebate.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, the federal government is pretty. They have a lot of strings attached to it, but at the end of the day, that's what it would be. 5%. They'll get 5% for basically managing it internally with city staff.
Yeah, and we did that. That's actually how we got the Medina County Master Drainage Plan. Medina County is going to contribute 10% of the total cost of that whole Master Drainage Plan. And then we also have another project going on in Medina County, Tehennis, Psycho Creek. That area floods very bad, and the whole town is like underwater. And so we have a project right now that is going through the application process, and we expect to get approval in the next few months here. And that's going to take all those guys out of the floodplain. So yeah, so we can do things like that here, getting Live Oaks Slough fixed up and improve the drainage system through there, and that would be a huge benefit because those flood insurance premiums are very high.
FEMA's just one of the ways. I mean, talk a little more about funding. With FEMA's pretty consistent. Every year they're going to put out multiple calls for projects and applications. So I think it's at the beginning of the year, like January 20th is usually every single cycle is January 20th. Like you said, there's a master drainage plan component and there's project-specific projects that have benefit costs of over 1. So it's a good time to kind of start identifying those problems and applying for them. I think I forget the exact amount of billions of construction dollars that FEMA puts out every year, but a lot of cities, a lot of counties, a lot of municipalities don't know about this, so they lack projects. So almost all the projects that are applied for it, as long as you follow the rules, they become successful projects and they get awarded. Outside of drainage, some other things that we've really been working with around the San Antonio area. If you look at transportation, Texas also has X amount of billion, like $5 billion they got to spend every year, right? And they have 12 periods, and they got to spend the money in the 12 periods. They have their list of projects, but we work on Medina County. Highway 90 is a disaster going through basically from 1604 to Castroville. We've been working with them to find alternate routes around Castroville, even getting out to Hondo. So what we've been able to do is kind of start the process of doing the design work for these cities and counties and kind of putting it on the shelf. And when TxDOT misses some of their projects that fall behind schedule, they still got to spend their money. So how are they going to spend their money on projects that are already done? So we take them off the shelf and give them TxDOT, and they've been pushing those forward. Similarly, we've been doing stuff like that out in Cibolo, shirts, things like that. So that's an opportunity there. And it goes, it can be large roads like 90, or it can be just a FM road, or it can be any type of roads that need some improvements. And then the other thing, safe drinking water, there's a revolving fund there. It's not necessarily a grant, it's more of a loan, but when you look at the numbers of median household income, there's a threshold there, and if you fall under the 75% tile, there's a huge loan forgiveness program to do any type of water line projects. It's a very similar thing with sanitary sewer projects. So it's usually a loan program over 10, 15 years, and it's as long, where Ormy says it falls in the threshold of the loan forgiveness part of that. So it's very helpful. A lot of smaller cities around here, we've been doing that, they've been successful as well. I think last week we got the city of Cleveland, which is down by Houston. We got pretty big water and sewer project going for them through this revolving fund. So things like that, things that we can bring to the table, outside of just the normal services provided, plan review, plot review, that kind of stuff. That's kind of the norm, right?
Project management.
Right. Construction, administration, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of what we've been doing. And
Y'all survey too?
we've got local surveyors. We've got a few crews that are running in San Antonio. We've got 2 RPLS in the office, and survey technicians that crank out the survey work.
What about environmental?
We have environmental as well. Yep, we have full service. We even have a website in-house too. Now that's a new addition for us as of end of last year. So that's one thing we try to offer is full service. So we know who to call.
Okay. Do y'all have any questions?
God.
I don't really have any other specific questions unless you have any questions for us.
You got anything?
What kind of localized drainage problems do you guys have?
We got an issue here with the train tracks, where like the water's coming in, running off across these big properties, but they're like going into the Medina River and eroding them out. So like some people are like losing half-acre properties, but then while it's eroding out over there, it's getting blocked on this side where the railroad is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of big flooding in there is what the residents have told me. I'm sure y'all know your other areas. Yeah, Rife Lane, which is on this side.
Okay. Yeah, we can help out with those things. The city of Hondo is very similar. They have those railroad tracks that's basically blocking off downtown, and like all those guys are in the floodplain. And so we're actually looking at it right now, trying to get those guys out and improve the situation. So that's one thing that we can bring to the table.
Have you guys worked with saws at all?
Oh yeah. Done plenty of saws work, but straight contracting with them as a sub. Got partners that work with us a lot.
So are they your client, or have you worked with them on behalf of clients?
So what we do so let me back a little bit. So one thing that we do is we have a development division, and we have a public construction division. We're completely separate. Our development division does work with them through their clients, whether they're doing single family, multi-family, whatever. On our side, we work directly with them as a client. So if they have water, sewer, inside the fence, outside the fence, pipeline projects, whatever it is, we work with Sauls and also with the River Authority on some of their sewer projects as well. But one thing that we do, we do this type of city county engineering stuff a lot. We don't want to create any sort of conflict of interest. So any cities that we come into, we make sure our land development team will not be doing development in those cities. If we're going to be working with the city as a client, reviewing plans, we don't want to create that conflict of interest. We don't want Westwood's name on a plans coming in, us reviewing it and saying, oh, it looks great. We're not going to do that. Our development team has said, wherever we're working with, we're going to stay out of that. So we haven't had any working with Medina County at all. They turn down opportunities all the time. So it's something similar here. That's worked out.
Okay.
No, I don't have it.
How much growth are y'all seeing right now? And is it starting to pick up a little bit?
Not much, but we think it's coming.
It's coming. 35 corridor is coming, yeah.
It's coming. The rest of us are getting a grant for getting our sewer shovel ready. To bring sewer on the I-35 corridor.
Yeah.
We're thinking, after that, things are going to get to.
If you build it, they will come. Yeah.
Well, thank y'all very much. Do you have any cards or anything else you want to?
Yeah, I got some.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Right here. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Here. So how's this gonna go? Like we're each doing one of these.
Well, y'all have to, y'all decide who you think is the best fit. Like I said, we do not consider fees as part of the selection process. You make a selection, then you negotiate fees, and if you can't come to an agreement, then you go to the next person on your list.
So we can't select two to negotiate fees, we go in order.
You have to make a selection and go with that based on qualification, only based on qualification. And then if you cannot, work out fees, you go to the next person on your list. So y'all need to like rank
One,
who you think was 1, 2, and 3.
But that's not tied to the score, is it?
The score is just kind of more for your like own internal like
Because
organization.
they're all qualified.
They're all qualified. I think I'm not sure about Westwood, but I know the first two were both all the small women historically underutilized. They had all the federal alphabets attached to them. So. It basically comes down to who you think is going to do a better job for the city.
But what does it come to a meeting before we decide that?
Yeah, so you're not making a decision today, but you can discuss it.
We can discuss the date.
You can discuss it, you can rank it, and then we'd have to put it at the next regular meeting to go into negotiations.
Okay, all right. Today, too.
Today's the 2nd, sir, February 2nd.
Is this ground floor?
It is ground.
What is the big project you're looking at? Number one.
Well, this is everything for the city, like, we need to get work done on the streets, we need to have them chip sealed. The engineer would do the analysis, give us the cost breakdown, tell us what to look for, basically. They provide us plans, what needs to be executed, looking at the drainage, like what's the criteria, what is most important, like critical for us to fix now to prevent future problems. Or like when we submitted the grant for the park, I needed cost estimates of what it would take to run infrastructure over there to install a restroom, things like that. So this is general city engineering, because right now, we don't have it. Pretty much our last engineers just kind of dropped off.
They just like disappear.
They don't answer phone calls, they don't return it, they would just like,
The
they're
weirdest
done.
thing, they wouldn't tell us why. Did they ever tell you?
No.
No, the weirdest thing.
What was that?
Yeah, you have to have an engineer,
Hickories.
because you're not gonna get anything done.
And then anything that we want to build, anything that we want to develop, we're required to have engineering and architecture go over it. So it's a requirement.
So where did Brandon come in here?
Brandon's our city planner. He used to work for our former engineers and he went on his own. So the plat review and the planning review and the inspections of plans, we already have BB inspections and we have Brandon for those things.
And if we didn't have Brandon, since K3 stopped picking up the phone, like
Yeah, we wouldn't have nothing done, so.
Oh, he's not an engineer, right?
He's not an engineer,
Right,
he's he's an architect, he's not an engineer.
Okay.
Alright, well, I
Okay,
got,
we'll go over this later, right? Yes.
we could decide letter.
Do y'all,
Well, I already got my choice.
who did you,
Who's your choice?
My choice, AG,
AG.
the first one we,
Yeah, so I was gonna say AG one,
Westwood two?
Rockwood two, Westwood
Because
two.
Westwood,
that's the way I have it.
they seem like the same as K3s, like a big huge
suits,
firm,
yeah.
right? A big huge firm like K3.
I think Rockwood would probably be the most, well, sorry, smaller group, kind of more similar to
Yeah.
kind of how we're operating, kind of focused here in South. I really like that. But that AG3 with her experience history was.
She's got the history and then she's tied into the county.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Do the grants, do everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I really like that program.
the
She was,
GIS, yeah.
Yeah, they got it all
And the
down.
fact that we could put it on the website, anybody can
Yeah.
access it, yeah.
What were your rankings, right? What were your rankings?
We should offer a chair.
I'm reading it, but it's done. I'm not very good at it. I listen, but kind of get lost now.
They were here way back when we became a city.
The first ones were, they weren't here before, so they don't.
Yeah. They're familiar with the town,
But
our big city, I mean.
all those people work on the grants, or we submit grants, correct? And then they'll submit a project,
So we tell them, like, this is a project that the city is interested in, and then what kind of grant can we get funded, basically.
And they do all the work,
and they do all the work.
and we pay them.
I think that number one is expensive. Number two, I think it's level headed. Number three, I'm familiar with the work that doesn't go cheap.
Oh, really?
Underground tanks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the other ones, I'm familiar with the one that does in Del Rio, because I was there when the big old flood, it wiped out the old city except for the old city of Del Rio. But I was stationed there. So I don't know.
That was 40 years ago.
That was in 70, 80, it was in 80,
I remember that.
82, I think. Yeah, because I retired in 83. But,
Anyway, the only reason because of them is they worked with the city before. They're familiar with a lot of drainage and,
Yeah.
Plus, if she's tied into the county commissioners of her county, that's a plus for us with grants.
if she can work with those commissioners, I mean, that helps.
And she does know the history and the things that we need to.
so we're gonna have to make a choice of two people.
Not today. but
Not today.
It's a state.
Okay, next time,
I'm gonna keep these,
Okay.
yeah,
Sounds like we're in agreement though on
Yeah.
orders.
we'll start up, yeah.
We'll bring it back to the meeting.
We're gonna have to go.
I think all of them are good, but money wise,
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm looking at, I guess I'm looking at money wise. But you always have a QC person looking at it.
You see, the thing you have to think about too is what are you gonna get in return? There's other people have to, what you call, the pool with other engineering firms, people here in San Antonio, they probably don't.
Because this ain't gonna happen overnight, we talking years. I won't be here to see all this.
We don't worry.
But don't buy the Bible yet, okay?
Okay, well, do we need to take a little, do we need to take a break, a little recess, or are we good?
We can.
Okay.
Now stretch.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
How you been, chief?
I'm doing good.
You really was
I didn't have lost.
Huh?
I didn't have lost.
El
That's what I'm going for.
Bótalo, Piojo.
All right, number 2, code of conduct / ethics. So Jacob, have you had a chance to review this closer?
Yeah, so it's a little too specific in some areas. I mean, it's, like you said, we are down by code. And so, from another city, I don't remember that one was a things, whereas we are more limited to what the code says and allows. So we'll need to amend that match.
Yeah, so I noticed there's several references that look to be from local government code 572 to regulate the state officials, the state level employees, all obviously paid, versus local government code chapter 171, 176, which are really for the general law statutory cities. That local government code 572 wouldn't apply to us, and so it'd be a preemptive, right? So like anything that we do in here that's different than 171 and 176 isn't applicable.
And they just passed that new preemption bill, so.
Okay. So, do we want to just go through it then? Talk some of
I mean,
these.
we're gonna have to redo it anyway, so.
Well, we'll just put a new copy together, and that way, I mean, instead of taking apart the old one, it might be easier to just start with a new one.
You take it from another, like a general law city, right? We won't have these issues. Yeah, and then enforcement and appeal process penalties, there are, in 176, there are penalties. 171 didn't have penalties, but 176 did, where it said class A, B, and C misdemeanors, criminal charges for violations. I think that would be there. Also, wanted to add a disclosure, so I thought it would make sense for, we've talked about this before, we were talking about the agreements, the employment agreements, outside business activities that city employees might be conducted in, and that would be disclosed to the city. I feel like that would make sense.
No, it should, yeah.
There's a separate one for elected officials, that I'll send you.
No, but there's already a requirement for disclosures. You're saying you want an additional one?
Well, no, there's disclosures for the elected officials, and those are the ones I'm familiar with. What I was just referencing was the city employees, which I didn't see. So like we have to disclose anything we do in the city, right? But we live in the city. The employees, whether they live in the city or not, are going to be involved in stuff too. And as the primary employer of the city, it would be good to have that disclosure. I know we've talked about it in different cases. We know, you've mentioned that there's other things that y'all do, and I'm sure that applies to employees too. And I don't really have a specific problem with that, but it'd be good for disclosure of that. Okay, well then, so if we don't need to go through this,
No, we'll just bring back a new one.
okay. I did have one question on this subject. So for 4A1, it's talking about solicit gift. I went back and I read it. I was just kind of curious, like donations, fundraisers, like where's that line?
There can be donations to the city, but
Yeah.
individual elected officials have to be careful.
I can say something on that. It happened back when the old, we used to have a sister city. right on the side of Monterrey, Mexico. We even had meetings with them. We went there, they came here, we took them to dinner on the river and stuff like that. And they gave, and these cities were not giving the mayor, he's never gonna give them back. We could ask them in a nice way. There's flags, there's, plaques and stuff like that. And all kept them on. We didn't have a city hall at that time to keep them at. And I've been thinking, you know, as much as I don't get along with art. But anyway, those belong to the city. They don't belong to art. And now it's probably been so long that he probably doesn't want to give them up. And I almost wouldn't blame him. But when they gave them to us, I was there. And they were for the city. And we didn't have no place to put them. So they kept them over there.
I think that was a case of a lot of equipment we had to go get from city council when they finally got a building, because it was at everybody's houses.
See, we didn't have a building.
Yeah.
We didn't have nothing. So all we were doing at the church, we were doing here. You're not gonna put Mexican flags at the church. So I said, so he would take them. No. That's my feeling. I don't care. And somebody, maybe we'll bring it up one of these days.
So I guess this is just personal, I guess would be the difference.
Yes, so you, like, they can take you out to dinner, we can talk about business things, but they can't, take you out to dinner
I'm more like, thinking like from the city though, like
The city can,
City
they
can
can
ask-
give things to the city, but they can't, like, it's the individual elected officials that cannot just give things to.
Right.
The city as a whole
Right.
can accept things.
but we can solicit that though, for the city, for the donations to the city, not us.
Not in exchange for a fee, you have to be
Right.
really careful.
We learned that, we learned that.
Really
Yeah, we learned that.
So, I haven't seen it in a while, and that may just be because I live in San Antonio, but, it's not like they're doing drives for, come donate to the city of San Antonio's blah, blah, blah fund.
Right.
You see it with like,
Natalia had it for like their park they were trying to open, or for like the library, you can add money to your water bill to go towards the library. They did bake sales and stuff to raise money for the park, but like specifically just for an open, just to donate to the city, no, it would be to a specific project, and then it could only be used for that specific project. It's very specific.
like with Malin's donation of the stuff for the library mailbox thing, the mobile library. She's donating like a specific thing to the city for a use. It's not like, she could also do it, say, here's $200 for this. I think the general donations to the general fund, getting the fund things get a little hanky, because they're like, why is this company donating $10,000? Like, oh, they recently got approved for this.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that, we're just gonna have to be very careful, if we want to start something
Like
like
if
that.
we wanted to start
or like
something,
a sewer
put a
project.
restroom in the park
Yes.
or something.
I was thinking for like our match, I've talked to a couple people that want to help.
Yeah. So we could start a drive, we put something on the website maybe to help volunteer.
We have to have a specific account for that, and it's like everything has to be kept separate and accounted for individually and very strict. You couldn't just go in general fund.
You know what regulates that?
I'm not talking about regulations, I'm talking about like just
I know.
good sense and
I know, okay, well, I didn't know if there's like a local government code that.
there
There is one.
is, but I don't know what the GASB on that would be either. Government Accounting Standards Board.
Okay. All right, so if we don't need to go through this, then.
Well, it's that complicated, there's things that you can't do. I think we should know that, we can't be accepting.
Yep.
Things we could do, like the postal service, they could give us a pen. don't take it. Or they came to
I
talk
mean, it's
to
the
me
same
and they
as,
left
it's
the
the
pen
same as police can't, so.
if they left the pen on the desk, I would take it. But you're not supposed to accept it.
Right, got it, okay.
Okay,
All right, then we'll bring this back another time.
we'll bring back. Anything else?
Oh, we got number 3, city finances.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I don't have like the individual things updated, but I can give you a brief on what we've been spending money on.
My glasses for this. Small print.
So you have the totals for, the totals for the accounts in, December and then January and then the accounts as of this morning. And what I have been working on, I brought to show you guys, because we just finished tax season. And for 2023, our IRS taxes are completely paid. I did just have to make a payment for quarter 2. I have to show you for quarter 2, we had to pay $27,000, $27,369.68. That was for quarter 2. Quarter 3 and quarter 4, since we switched to ADP, now every paycheck they take the payroll taxes and they make a deposit straight to the IRS, which is how we're supposed to do it. I brought you guys a printout of our electronic IRS payments. It's supposed to go back 16 months. It goes back to October of 2022. But if you see, previously they were making all the payments in November, December for the year. I'm not sure if we are all paid up for previous years. I only know from 2023 forward, we're paid up.
2023 and forward?
Yeah, 2023 and forward. Now because every pay period we're paying our taxes. So approximately every pay period, you can see on there is $2,000 to $3,000 in taxes that we pay. And speaking with the IRS, we had paid some for quarter 1. It was $11,041 we had paid for quarter 1, so I had to make another payment of $8,500 to finish quarter 1. I have those if y'all want to look at them.
Thought you said we used up all the PSA fund.
We haven't transferred the accounts, but I sent y'all all the reconciliation. But now ADP, they electronically file everything for us. So,
Which is great, because there was one year where my taxes weren't paid. And IRS ended up withholding money from tax returns, because they, on their end, were saying it looked like I didn't make any.
no earnings were reported.
But I was like, I submitted all my stuff showing like I did it. I submitted my W-2, which showed that I made what I made that year.
So our 941s are paid, our 940 is also paid, which is our federal unemployment tax, and then our state unemployment tax. Those are paid as well. For our court costs, I think you have those, Sandy.
Right.
So our court costs, we had a large overpayment to the state, so quarter 1 and quarter 2 were paid. I had been going back and forth with the state for several months over quarter 3, because they originally said this, that was an error. They said this, it was an error. Like, we had to go through several times to get it down to the correct cost. And then with our overpayment, our overpayment paid our child safety seat and safety belt fees, and it paid quarter 3 as well. So I did have to pay quarter 4 and quarter 2. Quarter 2 ended up being $98,000. They did take all the late fees off of it. And then for quarter 3, it was $22,000 for quarter 3. So moving forward, we're current, so that should,
We're current on all.
we're current on all of our taxes and all of our costs. This is one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to y'all about that new court system. Because our Q2 costs for 2023, there's no way for me to verify that what's in the system is actually correct. It's as correct as it could possibly be coming out of the system, but if the tables and the fines were not originally entered in correctly, because the state has changed their fees over time, so if they were using 2019 fees prior to 21-19 fees, it would be different than the current fees. So that could have possibly messed us up, but it was as true as I could get it. The information that I could get, that's what we had. So.
Are there any issues coming with billings, from these court fees and state?
Yeah, we have to separate everything.
But it's all in the general fund.
Yes, but so they have to be individual line items, and then like there's specific uses for each of those line items. So how we have it is just finding fees is not sufficient. So that's the next thing you have to do is have to go through and break everything out.
Yeah. But then they're still going on the same bank account.
But they have to go, but they can't be spent.
Right.
They can't just be spent, they have to be spent on certain criteria. Because basically for each citation, the city gets like $62. The rest goes to the state. And then, we did pay the first part of the engineering bill.
Do they know?
For the sewer.
Does everybody know?
Yeah, I told them,
They can know?
yes.
The email hacking,
Yes.
That's
called
it's
verifying
crazy.
details.
That's
I'm for paper checks, like, paper checks.
Even those
I'm gonna
can
have
be-
county send us money, send us the reimbursements and paper checks. Because the account that the county would send up to send us money in, the company that did that called me and they're like, this is very suspicious. Somebody set this up with your email, it's not legit, so we're getting paper checks.
Can we go take a look in person?
I can ask.
I'm just curious, so not like we do that every time, but sometimes we might need it as this process.
Right,
Because the whole point of this, let's get this first one paid, figure out how long it's gonna take
yeah.
to get our money.
I have
Sometimes the mail take a week.
I have everything to submit the reimbursement for Manuel and Ian, and they may have already replied to my email about exactly how to word the invoice for the repayment. We have been reimbursed for the solar shades. That check is in the mail. And then I submitted reimbursement for the solar lights and the concrete so far. I'll have to buy more concrete. We still have about $8,500 left on that grant.
We're gonna do some for the polls.
Yeah, that's what we're working on now.
we're paid up for all the taxes, back taxes.
For 2023 and forward, I don't know before 2023. The IRS said that the forms, the actual paper forms had not been submitted since 2019. So the forms have not been filed since 2019 until 2023. For 2023, they're all filed, but
We're talking about the return filing?
the 1040s, the 1041s. So I don't know if we paid correct amounts to the IRS or not. I only know what we paid from that. Those are the payments we made to the IRS. Did we hear anything, did you ever get ahold of the auditor? Oh, Eli, no, I need a letter from you today. I've got to submit some letters
For the audit?
for the audit. Because I already have Raymond's and you said you sent yours.
Everybody get money.
Yes.
Okay, the next meeting, you think you'll have, December it anywhere.
I'll be fine. And then we're supposed to have a demonstration for the court software for y'all at 3 o'clock on Monday. It's Zoom though, so you can do it from your laptop. I'll put up an agenda for you guys so y'all can come in and use the computer. Because Jacob and I and the judge already did a demonstration.
It's a 3.
Yeah.
Very
$7.
What came right up?
The AdCom,
What's the?
AdCom. Did you get an invite? You should have got an invite.
I get so many emails now.
Yeah, I'll just send it to you.
On the subject of city finances, in light of, what did happen Tuesday, I want to think through a SOP, maybe not SOP, not the right word, but, a process for those kind of payments. So if I'm gonna do them, something like a checklist, for those specific types of transactions. Trying to avoid those, so we can sign.
Or we just go to a paper check and overnight them instead of the electronic transfers.
There was something wrong with that, or was that the hacker?
That was a hacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still emailing me, by the way.
So let me ask you
And
this.
then I think that someone's been in your email for quite a bit because that email from Sammy, there's an email from you to Raymond from September, same email. But it's from your mayor email.
Did you open it? It can't be the exact, I was curious, so you sent me a screenshot? Did you click
It's
on
your
it?
exact email. They sent it from your email.
How's that?
Well, that's what the electronic system Bear County used. They use my actual email to verify everything. That's why I don't want to do electronic. I'd rather just do paper checks and overnight them.
So.
Or drive them down there.
For us to submit for the reimbursement, can we show them the check that's sent, or do they need to see it coming out of our bank account?
They want to see it out of the account. They want the return, the clear check from the bank is what I have to submit.
I got a,
No, we do get those pretty fast. I mean, as soon as they cash it and it's clear, I'll have it the next day, if not the same day.
Can we submit this to like cyber crimes or something at the DA's office or?
I don't know, I'll have to find out. See if the wheels like that. She filed a report already. But I mean, cybercrime is so hard to track, yeah. Because that person could be
We have
across the
two bank
world.
accounts, they try to give me permission.
I know, like when it started happening too, it was Tuesday at 9.
Yeah. And
That's
so,
what they
like you
said,
say, on
you're-
Julio,
you
there,
know, you know,
yeah,
on Julio, there was, you're right, there was a letter wrong in the email, but the email from you is your mayor email address.
After this, can you just screenshot me that same email you sent me, but like, click it so you see the address?
see, I had a message on my phone, and it had the mayor's last name, but it didn't have, it was.
So that's happening, like where you click on it, you can see the email address?
Yeah.
So that's been happening too. Somebody's been calling citizens in Von Ormy from a caller ID with my name on it. It happened to Marianne Castro
You
too.
need to make a report about
They're
this.
trying to sell
Serious.
insurance.
I'm standing behind a flag. Well, what's the name of the flag, you know? And, it wasn't her first name.
Weird.
So I already changed my password and everything.
Yeah, I already changed one too. We haven't had any weird emails or anything, but we changed the
So
password.
everybody changed their passwords,
I already did.
changed all the passwords.
So one time I had it where it looked identical, but then you had to click on it again and they had saved the correct email as the contact for the fake email.
What?
So even if you clicked on it like that, the email's right, but you gotta follow to the contact. And it's just,
But they knew exactly the conversation we were having.
they were monitoring the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Because they
waiting.
sent me an email as Casey confirming, go ahead and do it. And I was like,
Because I sent her an email saying, hey, call the
Yeah.
Meyer.
So he just sent me an email saying he called and confirmed.
Yeah, then the hacker saw that and turned around and sent a new email saying that I had done it.
I was like, well,
We got hacked. But luckily,
it was a very stressful day that day.
Mm. Okay,
I have to get my granddaughter a cybersecurity.
Well, Amy's sister is ICT security at USA, and she asked if she could come over and like assess our systems for free and tell us what we need to do. So I have an appointment with her on the 16th.
That's what I was gonna say, like, what do we have as far as software, you know,
I
antivirus?
don't think this is a software problem. They were in our email.
How do we need to kick them off?
All that stuff started when we didn't pay Wade ID. So I sent Mark an email then, like as soon as we didn't pay Wade ID, like our email started going nuts. So
There's no telling what
There's
he's
no telling.
doing.
I was actually funny you mentioned that because I was just thinking.
Yes.
I don't know why you thought of this because I hadn't heard anything in a long time. There used to be a lot.
that's when it all started. So
Has anything progressed?
no, I haven't written.
I haven't even checked that old website, it's a lot, either. Exposed all.
That's right. T and I married.
Well, do you want to do number 4? What's number 4?
Oh,
Regarding.
Mr. Mayor, what I don't like is when those ladies start talking, the 3 minutes or 9 minutes, whatever. I think they ought to stop, especially to Jackie and Vernon. They should be saying the word after. I think you should bring that thing or throw it out.
Mm-hmm. So,
They're not gonna be any good. I mean, they can call me idiot, stupid, or, it doesn't matter. But they can do it while they're out there. Nothing.
right, so like anything outside, everybody has their rights to live, citizens to be heard. It's anybody's right, they can go say whatever. They have to have that right. You're correct. We have no requirement to recognize people on topics and items. I've gotten positive responses from, in some cases, like with talking about history presentation or the history booth we were talking about. Things like that. I mean,
I
I
think
hear
it's
you.
different if they're part of the item, if what they're doing is part of the item, than just if they have a general comment on the item.
Yeah, and it definitely takes a lot longer when we do that. I like having that opportunity if we can, but I hear what you're
An
saying.
example, this would be past that, only 2 people or 2 commissioners. And, well, she got up and said what she wanted. You should have put a stop to it.
Which instance?
Yeah, they come out on the agenda. I mean, if the mayor will recognize them, but they can just
We don't have.
jump.
Yeah, but you're not required to.
You're not.
Their only right to speak is citizens to be heard after that.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, they got the right to speak, but that's how come you give them 3 minutes.
Yeah.
all right?
And you all set the rules for that. So.
And the chief got and told him something. I mean, I think one of them was told that that's the first warning or something like that. It doesn't seem to phase them. They'll sneak something else in there.
She seems to me like she wants to take over the city.
Well, she needs to run for office. She needs to.
Democracy.
Well, she can run anything she wants, but I don't think she can make it. She don't belong. She don't belong, no. If it was good for the city, I would get up and tell her to run.
You know,
It don't work that way.
you know, what I do, I know
I don't know.
them. I don't give a. They're not gonna hurt me. I mean,
But it's still, I understand the ignoring them part, but the law is the law, it's prescribed the way it is. And then there's been cases that have gone to the appeals court because it involved someone shouting something while someone was saying something in the meeting, and it caused a pause in the meeting. It caused a pause for that person that was speaking to hold his word because that person made that disruption, that was enough for an arrest and take him to jail. We're giving him way too much leeway.
Yeah,
Did we ever post that policy? Whatever that policy.
It's on the website.
We're dealing with that plan right now, and interruption to a public meeting, and it's
So
7 days off.
the city of Poteet actually posts the disruption statutes on their meetings page. So I was thinking I should add that to our meetings page, the disruptions and the consequences of disruption. The Class B and the Class A statutes.
but we shouldn't have to go to that, I mean,
Hopefully it doesn't come to that.
We shouldn't, but then again, you know, it's been, and it's not just them, I mean, there's frequently interruptions in the meeting, but yes, them, yes, but there's frequent other.
I've also had citizens come and ask me, like, what, because they don't understand, like, what exactly is the process for the meeting? And I explain it to them, they're like, okay, so we come to the meeting, citizens are there, we can say whatever we want. After that, y'all are there to do business and we're just supposed to watch. Yes.
Maybe we.
So once you explain that to people and they kind of, they're like, okay, because they thought we were just being a bunch of jerks. Because, you know, they yell stuff, they ask questions and we don't respond. They're like, you need to explain why you don't respond because it doesn't look good when you just sit there. Okay, I understand where they're coming from, so.
I think you
Do you want to
explained.
put something out on social media or something to explain?
I think it should start every meeting, for like, this is the process,
I'm not saying this
like a
is,
safety brief kind of thing.
but I maybe
Maybe
do
hit a few
that,
minutes.
but also have it in print as well.
We could have something
Well,
right here, so I could be like, hey, approve this.
and then I can put I can put it on top of the citizens to be heard.
Honestly,
Because typically, you're not supposed to address personnel and citizens to be heard either.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to openly address personnel and citizens to be heard. It's not supposed to happen.
So, I mean, I think really just enforcing, you know,
If you have a
quiet,
complaint,
unless somebody is recognized to speak, everybody else needs to be quiet. So the idea, I mean, we can go back to the old Indian medicine stick, where you've got to be holding the stick to talk, you know? And so, I mean, that's the idea, is that we do that without actually passing the stick around, you know? So,
we just don't need the meetings interrupted.
Well, we'll have to work on it.
It's up to you, Mr. Mayor. And if not, Chief can have it.
Well, I think
We've been working well together, I think we've been doing okay, I get what you're saying, though, recognizing people, because sometimes it's also a time thing.
Well, and then sometimes they get so far off topic that we have the meetings I have to consider.
Right, and if we recognize one person not there, other people get angry.
Then it could be like you're picking and choosing who you're giving access to.
But I don't think that
You have to be
it's mine that they get
careful.
upset at that point.
You just have to be careful, that's all.
Just gotta be careful when we cross the line.
We don't want to look like we're giving certain people extra privileges.
I also don't, don't want to be, I would, want the people to be, at the meetings. And if I go to the city of San Antonio's meeting, go to the city of Lidle's meeting, it's not quite the same, people have conversation. You shouldn't be interrupting the meeting, but just like two people kind of whispering together, that's somewhat typical in other meetings
Right,
that I've seen. There's some that fine line I'm trying to walk when it comes to the disruptions.
But I think
separate
that,
from
I
the
think
record.
the under your breath comments and
I think we can get more people coming to meetings and we can't go for that.
Just ask them what I do about the tail record meeting. And we get 20, 25 sometimes, and like that. And, if they're over there whispering or something, the gavel, hey, they weren't recognized to speak, so knock it off. We have some pretty good meetings.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll take it. We're gonna go to number 5, update on TNI special use permit application.
so when y'all called me the other day, I did not have all the information. I spoke with Brandon on the way here, y'all confirmed with me, but it's not just moving it on the same 25 acres, they're trying to move the site to the other end of the 80 acres.
So they're taking the project, they're gonna take this 25 acre slice, but instead of doing it on the south end, they wanna move it to the north end.
Alright, so it's different land.
And what did we
It's-
I get that it's the same 80 acre parent tract, but the 25 acres is changing.
But in the notice, it says
If
25
we don't
acres.
identify the specific 25 acres in the notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 25 acres of
But
this 78 acres.
What do you?
You said it was
So, if they were just moving it, like, is it the same contract, or you gotta or they gotta apply for a new one?
What's what was that?
So, if it was just moving the building along the site plan, I would be okay with it, but because they are moving the location of it, I think they do this.
Because it requires a new site plan.
Because it's a whole new, it's not, wholly different, but it's a new physical acres that they are using. And so, because it is going to be different on the site plan, and that's how we are identifying those 25 acres, it needs to be resubmitted and reconsidered.
So now we have to get Brandon involved.
Not really, they're just gonna
Resubmit,
resubmit,
renotice, but
resubmit this.
we can start, we'll just send it back through planning and zoning before we go to.
So it's a 4-week process.
Because at the beginning, he
So if I
applied
get it,
25 acres, but he bought 80. I think that's,
but he's only gonna use 25.
Yeah, so he's gonna, it's actually a little better. So where he was originally gonna be was right by the exit. And we're talking about the commercial value
right,
for, future uses. And that was something we've always had a problem since the beginning.
and that's what I told him the first time.
Right.
So
But
he
now they're
listened.
moving it. He listens, so they're moving it to the other side. They're gonna keep
So this
that.
is what we approved.
Yeah,
and
they're
then
gonna wait
we
for
go
us.
to this side.
That's better land for commercial.
So
I mean, I can deal with it, but
they,
you gotta go through the whole process.
I think that's what they.
so if I get it in the paper Wednesday
Get it. No.
Wednesday to the following Friday is 10 days, and then Wednesday to the following Friday.
I'll just send out the mailers again too.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, because it is different physical.
Do they have to
acres,
submit the fee again?
I would say so.
Yeah.
For sending
So, yeah, it's gonna be tossed to the city.
It's a better location for us, I mean, it's
Better for the city.
the whole works, yeah, get away from them. And right there, and move over,
That's better.
go over that way.
No.
And if they can live with that, hey, do.
I'm surprised that the county didn't build that truck stop,
Do you
because the property
get cancel Monday?
two over from me,
That's the only reason.
they wouldn't approve the truck stop.
Yeah.
So 2 over from you that way?
Yeah.
Huh.
Toward, I live here, my nephew there, then, somebody else, but it's 10 acres, and the county, decided, so. I'm wondering, they have approval from the county, correct?
The fees for
Well, they don't use it because they're in the city.
Huh?
It's just.
Well, the
it's
public- the
the
publication
It's just
fees.
us.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's better.
It's
It's better this way, I think.
$100.
But I'm glad you
$92.
It's it.
It needs to cover,
I was surprised.
costs.
The 450 would cover 2 publications and
Convenience stores or dollar store, whatever.
Yep, it'll be better,
it would cover.
right there.
No, if we had more,
Yeah.
we'll just say that would not.
You gotta push it, so
We'll just-
Yeah, yeah.
I can't get.
Finally listen.
I can't get around.
6 to 12 is probably about average for 200 feet, I mean, depending on what it is.
So it's just not gonna last about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I was just asking
That's
if
their
the
problem.
fees we charge cover the money.
It covers the newspaper posting.
And how are we looking on the sewage front?
Can we hear anything more? It's not on the agenda.
No, we can't talk about that today.
I just, you have to say that.
That's what I said, that you're on.
It's not on the,
That's a general business.
Maybe,
oh, we'll be bringing it up.
well, I'm always will bring it up.
You can't leave, we have to go do your letter.
Okay, I think we're done.
Okay, I'll
Are
wait.
you adjourned?
That's it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I talked to the Taryn.
I'll be drinking.
I'm interested.
You're good, you're good.
Rivers.